welcome to another episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am the host of the show, Perry, and I am so happy to be welcoming back the two main co-hosts of the show, Swan and Curtis. Guys, hello there.
Hello. Hey, what's up?
Howdy. Welcome back to the show. We are very excited to get into this week's news, but before we do that, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who has been still downloading and listening to the show despite the quarantines or the isolations, and especially everybody who has been listening to the brand new ISO Sessions series, which has been coming out every Friday. There's been two that have come out so far, one with ADHD Whiskey and the other with Peggy No Stevens herself. Two really great conversations. And I'm really excited about the one that's coming out this Friday. I was very lucky to get this person on the show. And I think I'm more excited about it than anybody else will be. But I'm gonna leave it at that, and I hope that you guys listen to it. There's gonna be a not safe for work tag at the beginning of it, though. Just a heads up. Okay. To let you all know what's going on. Anyway, yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening to all that. So we start every show out with Flying Blind. You guys you have been presented with two samples for this week's episode. One has question marks on it, and the other has exclamation points on it. The question marks one will be your Flying Blind sample, and then the one with the exclamation points, we will be reviewing that one later on in the show. So if you guys want to go ahead and get poured up.
Perry, I've been flying blind all week, man. With those masks I've got to wear at work, they just fog up my glasses. So I've just been running into stuff. Or customers will be like, "Hey, where's this at?" And I'm like, "Over there." I don't know.
Can you wear contacts, Swan?
No, I can't. Mostly because I poke myself in the eye enough without using contacts that I just can't get myself to put them in correctly. I don't know. I don't need another excuse to poke my eyes out.
Concerning.
Yeah.
You just sit there and you're like, ah.
He's not even really putting them in. He's just poking himself in the eye with it.
I'm not kidding. I went to the what is it, optometrist, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have to put these in before you leave. And I was younger at the time. And it was just 20 minutes of me I could do this. I can do this. Can't do it. Can't do eye drops either. I don't know what it is. It's just I'm not scared of it. I just
after that. How old were you?
It has been 10 years. Maybe I need to try again.
Maybe you're 25 years old and you're like, oh, I've matured and I've learned some new skills. My motor skills are a little better. Maybe we can.
Listen, if I can do it, I'm going to be so proud I'm putting it on my resume. It's up
Age
there.
25, successfully used contacts for the first time.
Yeah.
So I don't, and I know this is contradictory because I just took these off, but I don't wear glasses. These are just blue light glasses that I use when I'm on my computer a lot, which has been very frequent now that I'm constantly looking at my computer screen, waiting for people to call in, wondering about why they haven't gotten their unemployment check yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm in the same boat as you are, Swan. If I had to wear glasses, I would only wear glasses. I wouldn't use contacts.
See, and I prefer my glasses because I also have the blue light filter. And if you work in retail, the lights up above are blinding. So you have to use those to kind of cut out some of that blue light, or it will give you a headache and mess with your eyes a little bit. Anyways, question mark.
Yeah,
I got that board. Question marks. Yes. What do you guys think about the nose on this one?
This is dense. I don't know if that's a great descriptor, but it is very full. It hits you all at once.
Rich.
Yeah, there you go. That one.
I like dense though. I think dense is highly appropriate, especially when you're talking about complexity.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever struggle to kind of figure out what's going on, and then you get something like this, and it just fills every bit of your sensory stuff, I guess. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what I'm talking about here.
It's good. Maybe.
There you go. Those.
The palate does it too. It's dense all around, I think.
I'm glad we have an audio medium for me to not know how to use words. It's
Oh, also, I didn't mention this as we were starting. Well, we are now live streaming these recording sessions for Patreon as well. So if you are not a patron of the show, you want to join, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast and become a patron. And you get to see our smiling faces in different rooms in different houses as we record. Swan, you made quite the face as you were.
This reminds me of a Texas whiskey.
This is the second time that you've said that about a flying blind recently.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm getting a barbecue sauce a little bit, like
charcoal brisket.
Yeah, like a smoked meat barbecue.
That's where I'm leaning too. Only reason I say is it's weird. It tastes young, but it's got like an extra char to it, like almost like it's got a really heavy char. And I don't know why. I always associate that with like something that's gone through one of those like ultra aging processes, or is just really in like a hot environment, or maybe like a cycled warehouse, like the what was that Brown-Forman product? The King of Kentucky kind of had that going on with it a little.
Swan, you need to try the Garrison Brothers Balmorhea because it's double oaked Texas whiskey. It's very good. Of the ones that I had on my stream last week, with all the bottles and samples that Clint Mann sent, I think this one was my favorite.
That's fair. I'd love to try some of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of it that he sent me, so you're going to have quite a few opportunities to try these products. We going to educate you, Swan.
Educate. Then maybe I'll stop calling every flying blind a Texas bourbon.
This is Texas.
All right, so you guys like this? It sounds like.
Yeah,
I'm on the fence with it, to be honest. Leaning towards good, though.
Yeah.
So when I was getting this next round of samples together for you guys for recording, I was freaking out, and I was like, I can't just give these guys 3 samples. I've got to give them a 4th one. And so I was like scrambling around and thinking. I was like, what do I have? What do I have? What do I have? And I went, oh, I'll do another blend.
Okay. There you go.
So this is a blend of it's 3 Jim Beam products. Okay.
Okay.
The first is not that one.
It's heavy.
Swan and I were.
I think what we've described as it being like a dense, heavy kind of feel.
Yeah.
That's where I'm part of me is like, I really like it, but if it's too much of it, like I can't have a lot, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it benefiting from being cut with a little bit of water.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, it might open up some of those flavors.
So it's a blend of a 1970 Jim Beam 100-month-old decanter. The last of my Bourbon Karma pick.
I love that stuff.
I love that bottle so much. It's one of my favorite bottles of Knob Creek picks I've ever had. And a little bit of Jim Beam Repeal Batch. So you're going old, you're going modern, non-chill filtered, low proof, and then you're going the high proof, older whiskey. Right? I think this might have been the one that kind of turned it a little bit. The Repeal Batch.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that 101 month older bottle is what I got the most of, to be honest with you. Like the most influence off of.
Sure. I mean, it is evident that there is a dusty note to it. For sure.
Yeah.
But I think that it's got a pretty good little mingle of all 3 of those. And to be fair, I just threw this blend together. I wasn't like taking my time and thinking about it. I was like, something. I have a lot of Jim Beam products and just threw them all together.
You were like had like beakers and like
yeah, exactly. I have graduated cylinders though, right? Joseph Brazo sent them to me.
No, where'd they graduate from? I'm just move on. We're getting past that one.
Okay.
All right.
I want to address it. I want to. I want to keep referencing it throughout the show so that I have to leave it in the edit.
No. Actually, it would be kind of cute with a giant like cylinder, but the little hat and the tassel. Nice little robe.
Anyway, dumb science jokes.
Yeah, for real. What do you think you said maybe it's the repeal batch that turned it a little bit. How did you mean on that?
I just mean I think that was kind of the one factor that provided that note that wasn't as pleasant.
Okay.
And I'm not married to this blend by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just threw it together. I don't have, strong feelings about it one way or another. But I know that it's not 100% what it could be.
Yeah, I get that.
Anyway. Yeah, so that was Flying Blind. I've now got to figure out what to do for you guys for next week's episode as well. I don't know. I'm running out of options, I feel like. You're going to start getting benchmark.
Let's go for it. Why not?
What if I did a blend of the worst whiskeys that I have?
I've got one of those in my freezer. You want to compare worst whiskeys blended together?
Sure, why not? Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's so bad. This is going to sound awful. The other day, I had a bunch of legal paper and stuff that I needed to shred, but I don't have one. So I was like, well, I'll just toss it in we've got an old charcoal grill, and I put it in there. And I started lighting the paper on fire, and I was like, oh, it's just not going fast enough. And I'm really not even supposed to be doing this. So I went inside and grabbed that fifth of or that handle of Wild Turkey 101 that's just mixed with a bunch of crap bourbon and just poured it all over.
Yeah, I was going to say he lost his eyebrows that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're very much still here. Yeah. It's they get any bushier, I'm taking flight. It's
I don't think I ever realized that. Them things are thick, dude.
Yeah.
With 2 C's.
That's why I wear glasses. It gets rid of them. And it's gone.
I like the notion of a bad infinity bottle. I think that's really funny.
That's what I have. It's basically half a handle of Wild Turkey 101. So I was like, if I'm going to give these bottles any semblance of hope, it's going to be mixing it with something like a good base. Sure. Kurt's turning over right now. He's like, oh, it started off bad. But and then I just mixed a bunch of crap whiskeys, and then I'll take either shots or mix it with stuff or just use it like that. And it is just awful. Some of the stuff I've put in there has absolutely ruined all of it. I mean, the whole thing's bad.
Please tell me you put a little bit of the cherry wood smoked barley in there.
No, Perry, that's all at your place for further torture. I can't do it.
So I did have a moment recently where I was looking at my cabinet and I just straight on went, oh, what's this? And I went, oh, because I forgot that I had that monstrosity in my possession. And it's like a bad recurring dream. You forget about it. You've kind of you're at peace with it after a while. And then every once in a while, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, you have the same dream again. And you're like, yeah, I thought I was over this.
We should hide it under Perry's bed. And one night he looks under and he's like, oh, monsters are real.
They do exist. Oh,
yeah.
Name that reference.
Oh man.
You're gonna have to tell me. Actually, I don't know.
Oh, have you never seen that M&M's commercial where it's at Christmas time and they're going into the living room and they see Santa and he's like, yeah. They do. He does exist, and Santa also passes out because he sees them and goes, they do exist.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, weird tangent. We haven't even gotten to what we've been drinking recently.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
What have you guys been drinking recently?
For me, to be honest, I took a little hiatus this week. I had over the quarantine had my fill of bourbon because there was nothing else to do. So, so this week I said, okay, I should probably detox my body a little bit and and just give it a rest. So I hadn't had anything. This is like the first one.
Well, that makes one of us. Swan?
All right. I've been having I have 2 or 3 Knob Creek picks open. I've just been trying those and figuring out what I like about each one and kind of like taking the time to deep dive into it. Admittedly, most of the time when I drink at the house, like I don't use a Glencairn or a Norland. It's just like a rocks glass, dump it in. But like I actually took the time to put it in, Glencairns and try it and kind of think about it a little. And even gave like some of them scores and figured out what I liked about them. It was fine, but after 3 hefty pours of Knob Creek in like one night, the only conclusion you can come to is, wow, there's 2 TVs and I only own one. Like it's just
What kind of a realization is that?
I mean, it's so strong, Perry. Like it got to me.
Well, what were you watching? Because it was playing the same thing.
Why is Aliens playing on 2 TVs?
Yeah. Wait a second. Why are there 2 programs on?
No, I watched a documentary. Oh, I'll get to it later, but it's giving me my tips and bits. But I was watching that, and that is a roller coaster. So it's definitely, in my opinion, if you were riding the high from Tiger King, this is a good next thing to get to.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know what that means exactly, but we'll find out, I'm sure.
It's just in the same vein,
Oh, okay. I got you. It sounds bad, but I feel like I've gotten a little bored with having the same bourbons all the time.
So you have been having beer.
Yes.
Nailed it.
And I had a couple margaritas this week. Because we ordered takeout from a Mexican restaurant. And I was like, so you guys are doing you're doing drink takeout too, right? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And I go, you're gonna need to throw 2 margaritas on that order as well.
Margaritas are awesome.
They are dangerous.
Yes.
And I love them. I do, but I can only have one every now and then because they actually, like, the citrus of it gives me such bad acid reflux.
I could see that.
That like after one good one, I'm like, I'll have something else.
All right. Me, I just go, yeah, we'll take a whole pitcher.
I probably should have gotten a pitcher just so I could have it, for longer. But I did. I had one of the Boone County stouts yesterday as well, the 2018 Goose Island stout. So good. You know what? I keep calling it Boone County. It's Bourbon County, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
County
I don't know why I keep doing that. I apologize.
I don't know. I still know where one of those like 17, 18, 19 sampler packs are too.
I saw one of those out in the wild too.
Yeah, there's a couple of little stores that have them. And like the nice thing is there's going to be a lot of stores. The second liquor stores are officially like open again. I'm going hunting because a lot of the ones with drive-thrus have just been drive-through only. And there's not many people that are like, hey, here's a list of every rare bourbon I'm looking for. Can you just go down this list and see if you've got any of them? No, like they're going to be like, let me get a 5th of Wild Turkey 101.
So there have been a couple of local stores that are still posting on Instagram when they get something special in.
That's fair.
Like Jackson's, the place that you have that barrel pick from, Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
They're still posting daily about new stuff that they're getting in. And it's not always, like limited releases or anything, but it's stuff to, consider going and getting. And they do drive through as well. So safe practices, I guess. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been drinking. Otherwise, it's been kind of standard filler, I would say, aside from doing my live stream last week with all the Texas whiskeys. Thank you again, Clint Mann, for sending me all of those Texas whiskeys. It was a wild ride, let me tell you. Whatever I thought I was getting into, I was not ready for it. Anyway, guys, we got significantly less news this week than we have.
There is not much.
There is very little going on in the world of bourbon this week, but there's some big stuff that happened, though. There's some big stuff. We're going to talk about positives first, I feel like. Or I would like to talk about positives first.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you guys. And Swan, you might not feel like this could be a positive, but I am at least a little bit excited for it. Buffalo Trace announced their newest experimental series bottle, which is a wheated bourbon that was barreled for 4 years, 114 proof, then cut with water to 100 proof and rebarreled for 8 years. So it's a 12-year-old wheated bourbon for $47, suggested retail price, 23rd release in the series. The exasperated noise, I feel like, is all I can make because I just don't know what Buffalo Trace is thinking anymore. Swan concurs.
I don't get it, man. Like, if you're going to expand your Weller line and this fits in it, then just put it in the Weller line. Like, I mean, that just seems like a smart thing to do. I mean, what are they waiting for? For people to come back and put the feedback on this to decide whether or not they like it? I don't think anyone is going to look at a Weller product to think, wow, this was a misstep. Like, no, let's just put it in the line.
Is this what it's do you guys think it's anticipated for?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be gone the second it touches any store. I doubt half of this will even make it to the shelf.
Sure, yeah. But you think that's what it'll end up being, potentially?
That it'll wind up being another Weller product?
Yeah. Or
no.
not?
I don't think so personally. I think that this is just Harlan Wheatley being the scientific mastermind that he is.
Okay.
And trying to do something new and something different. And I mean, that is, I cannot think of anybody who pulls a whiskey out of the barrel, cuts it, and then ages it for twice as long as it had already been in the barrel. Who does that? And it feels like even with a wheated bourbon, that would be more detrimental to the flavor, the overall experience, as it would be with a rye bourbon, right?
I think so. I mean, it just doesn't get as much of the barrel influence, so it seems like cutting it would just make less interaction with the barrel itself, which is odd. But I mean, to Harlan's credit, he's put out a lot of good experimental releases, and in the past couple of years, he's actually put out some releases that I would have thought would have fit in the experimental range a little better than they would have fit in like a typical release range. And he's made them full releases, like the whole Old Charter line that he's put out. Those are experimental releases that he's put in a fancy bottle that he thought were, good enough to skip the entire experimental collection and just go straight to a bottling line. That's bold. This just fits so much of a regular Weller profile as far as like, it's a wheated mash bill. It's aged a little differently. It just seems odd to me. But Patrick in our chat here has pointed out it's going for quite a bit more than it's worth on secondary. I mean, it's.
Well, I think he's postulating that's what it would be on secondary.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, even just regular Weller is the same way. It's just, I don't know. If I get to try it, I'm definitely going to probably enjoy it, but I just don't think I'm ever going to see one.
Well, and if we're talking about, in terms of if this winds up being a product that went to market as a main item in the Weller line or the Van Winkle line or whatever, there's no way to sustain that, right?
No.
Because it's already 12 years old. But at the same time, you have to guarantee consistency from single barrel to single barrel, right? So, it went into the barrel initially at 114, taken out after 4 years, cut to 100 proof, and then aged for another 8. So I don't know what the angel share looks like on that, how much whiskey they actually lost during the aging process. But I can't imagine that that's something that they could reasonably put out, excuse me, at a consistent level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are 375s, and you can see how dark they are. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be hard for them to do exactly what they did with this experimental release and make it a Weller product. I don't think it's unreasonable within the next like 5 to 10 years to see them come out with a double barreled wheated product. Because I can't think of anyone else that has one personally.
You know what? Somebody just sent me a message this week about a double barrel wheated whiskey. Hold on just a second. Let me try to find it. Ah, yes. So Brian from Wishful Whiskey on Instagram sent me a message, and he said, let me know if you want me to send some samples of this for your double oak tasting. He said it's the only double oaked wheater I've come across. And I can't pull up the picture. Oh, here it is. It's called Ragged Branch, and it's a wheated bourbon. 90 proof, double oaked. So, I mean, there are products out there that exist like that, at the very least one. And I would definitely like to have that included once we do that double barrel flight, whenever that happens. But I don't know, man. I think that there is an untapped market for this, for sure.
Yeah, and I think Harlan would be a good large distillery to kind of beat some of the other larger distilleries to the punch on that. I mean, as you said, Ragged Branch is going to be the original creator of something like that if they're the ones that kind of, piloted that idea. But if Buffalo Trace does it, I mean, everyone's going to know about it. It's going to be something everyone needs for their collection.
Yeah, that's going to be like probably setting the trend too, and setting the parameters of what something like that would taste like a little bit.
So let's talk about the price too. $50 for a 375 is nothing new, right? I mean, we see all the Whiskey Baron collection bottles priced the same. I think really in general, the experimental collection bottles from Buffalo Trace are all priced at $50 for a 375. Overpriced or not?
I don't think so, because I don't think they really look to make money with these. I have to imagine that they probably do 5 of these for every one they put out.
Sure.
They're not necessarily recouping money on just this project,
Yeah, I think it's fair for the same reasons.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's it reads like more of a collector's piece than it does a return on investment, for sure. That being said, $50 is still a lot for a 375.
It is, but if you had the choice between this and Old Rippy, I mean, what would you take?
Honestly, I don't.
You got to think about it. That's enough, man. That's
enough. But the reason I'm thinking about it is because I haven't had this new experimental one from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
Right. And Old Rippy was good, but it wasn't amazing. I would probably rather have WB Saffel, in all honesty. I don't know. I would have to try them side by side. I think that's the only way I'd really be able to come to any kind of conclusion.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's the curiosity of not knowing, though.
Yeah, no, and I definitely want to try it. I definitely want to know. I'm very curious to find out what this product is like. But at the same time, if we can even get our hands on it, it will be it would be a tough get.
Yeah, and I've only had one of these, and it was a 6 grain, I think. And I got lucky enough to walk in, and Harlan was doing a thing at the Total Wine there at Lexington Green. And
I remember when that happened.
Yeah, it was just a weird little pop-up thing, and he just decided that he was going to sell the 6 grain, and I got there late, so he was like, I'm here for 2 hours. It sold out in 30 minutes. And so he just had like 3 or 4 bottles open that he was letting people sample. Big line, stood in line for it. Got there so excited. I'm like, it's great. Oh, and then just away. I was like, it's just odd, like I can tell, I know why people don't do this.
My dad has an experimental bottle too. I can't remember what it is. I actually just texted him to see if he would let me know. But I've only had I've only had two. And it was this one that he has, and then there was a failed experiment that didn't get released to the public. Did you guys try that one?
No.
So at my old job, one of the ladies that I worked with used to also work at Buffalo Trace. And it was like a 24-year-old failed bourbon. It just wound up being like way too oaky or tannic or something like that. I didn't mind it that much, but as far as like an experiment goes, it was something that they definitely didn't want to release to the public. But even still, I think that these kind of seem to be a little bit hit or miss. But that being said, I have a very limited range of knowledge about these products.
Well, I mean, I think some of the experiment is not just necessarily like a 12-year-old wheated bourbon and then the stipulations they put on it, but maybe they put these products out to see how the public reacts to it. Like that 6 Grain might have had some amaranth in it. And then they were like, well, if everybody loves it, then we'll put out E.H. Taylor Amaranth. And then they could do this and then turn around and say, well, that got, received really well. Maybe we should do a double-barreled Weller. I mean, maybe they just look for that to see how the public reacts to it.
Yeah, I think these experimentals specifically have a point and a purpose to be able to try those new things without making them those main staples or having a huge line. And then, if they say, okay, well, if they didn't like this, maybe we can pare something back a little bit and say, let's take this out. Let's try doing this instead. And then it might make it 100 times better or something.
That is true.
So I think it's literally what they're called. They're experimental for purposes of hoping to try something new in the future.
Fair enough. All right. I think we've beaten that dead horse.
Yep.
On to some unfortunately sad news from the Kentucky Bourbon Affair. Their fantasy camp for 2020 was canceled, of course, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But it does sound like they are going to be resuming that in 2021. And in regards to cancellations for this year as well, and I think this is the one that has kind of this one hit a little bit harder than I think any of the cancellations that have happened so far. But all 3 of the Trifesta festivals in Louisville were also canceled. So Hometown Rising, Louder Than Life, and Bourbon and Beyond were all canceled this year.
That's wild, man.
I am really, really disappointed about it. I know that it's easy to go, yeah, well, it's unprecedented and everything, and things happen and we couldn't have predicted it and whatnot. But I was really excited about it. And I feel like, I heard somebody say it's okay to be disappointed during this because nobody's ever experienced it before. Right. Yeah. And so I kind of allow myself a little bit of disappointment in that regard, but
it's a letdown.
It is
for sure. And how I would describe it, at least how I would feel and how I'm feeling about it, is that it is more of a letdown and not as much a disappointment for me, because disappointment for me kind of has it has a little bit to do with the people organizing it a little bit. And so I feel like it's just man, it's such a letdown and so sad. And it's a good move because you can't have, that many people around, especially during these times. But yeah, it's me.
And I know that people are making the argument that, it's not all the way until September and, things could be different by then. But at the same time, if there is this predicted second wave that could be coming, I mean, you don't want to be holding a music festival where everybody's elbow to elbow and they're spreading it even further.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't, you can't have that.
Nah. And we're not even having, sports with actual fans. I don't even know when that'll be happening again. So
I'm looking longingly into the distance of our
Our future.
thinking when will things return to normal, if they ever do, you know? But I mean, there are sports that can be done. I feel like golf could be reintroduced. I feel like,
Yeah, I think they'll be played. I just the fans is the biggest thing.
so it becomes that same thought of like, would you rather there be something for you to watch or nothing at all because you can't actually go and enjoy it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's a good topic to bring up, like a virtual thing, or is it better to just not have it?
Because like I have enjoyed virtual concerts,
Yeah,
and I might be an outlier in that regard, but I've still gotten to enjoy watching a unique performance from musical artists that I love, and it's not in my ideal setting, but it's in a setting that is still unique nonetheless.
with the circumstances.
With the circumstances, sure. And I try my best to be optimistic in life, but there is that just kind of pessimistic side to it as well. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like things just suck right now. And I think it's fair to say they do.
Yeah.
I don't think they feel any different. I'm sure they probably think this sucks as well.
Of course they did. Of course.
So,
coming from like the creative side of it, and to be fair, I haven't played a gig in a long time, but that, I was missing it before all of this happened. And like, I did have a gig scheduled this month. It was my first gig in probably like year and a half, 2 years. And I was really excited for it. It was the first time I was going to be able to get back on stage and play my music and play new music as well. And I know it's on a very micro scale as far as what other people are experiencing, but I still desperately miss that intimacy of live shows. And, even so far as like, that we had to kind of cancel / postpone the live show of the podcast. Too.
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing it back to sort of the Kentucky Bourbon Affair event, the fantasy camp. I was reading and said that this is very much like an intimate kind of well-crafted, elegant kind of event. Do you think if they had a virtual kind of experience, I mean, you could limit it to these smaller things, but I don't think you get the same, you obviously wouldn't get it, but do you think it's better to say, okay, we're not doing any, or maybe we have these specific things we can do virtually, or limited to things like that?
I think that you have to find some way to offer exclusive experiences to people in this regard. And at that point, it becomes really difficult, right? So say it was an experience where you were trying exclusive whiskeys or exclusive cocktails or whatever. And just for example, if it were a Pappy 23, right? This was the only way that you could get to try Pappy 23. You pay all this money for it and everything. The logistics of sending out all those samples so that everybody could still be trying them virtually, but together, that becomes a nightmare in terms of planning.
yeah.
Oh, yes, it would be cool. It would be great to see that if you made just a massive batch of cocktails that were made by, the best bartender in the United States or the best bartender in the world or whatever. But trying to get all those things out to people, I have a hard time just sending samples to friends, right?
Yeah.
Like the amount of work that would go into sharing one bottle or one batch of cocktails, it'd be difficult. It really would be difficult.
It'd have to be very, very limited. I totally agree with that. And I think the just entertaining the idea is kind of cool. Of you could have a full on packaged like box that's branded for this, and you can have like a Glencairn that's in there with the sample, sort of stuff like that. Like I see that kind of being cool, but yeah, I mean, the logistics is a nightmare, and it probably makes. I think it totally makes sense that they said, we'll be able to do this next year. Let's get it right this time.
Yeah, and I think that there's something to be said about patience too. There's something to be said about stepping back and allowing yourself time to reflect and think and develop. I mean, who's to say that everything was ironed out to a T for these events, right? Who's to say that, everything was going to go as perfect or was going to be as good of an experience as they could possibly offer, right? So I think that it's okay to allow some time for what comes next or the next iteration of these things.
Yeah, and I think also a thing to remember with these events is like the exclusive bourbon, the access to distilleries, the ability to ask questions, all that's fantastic. But there's a huge majority of the people that go to these that have more fun sitting in some random parking lot doing a sample swap in the back of their car. I mean, it's like it's all about getting some people you've never met before from the internet that you've seen in streams and just having a glass of bourbon anywhere. Like a hotel lobby, doesn't matter. I mean, it's a big sense of like community, and you just don't get that when you're all sitting at home. I mean, even Perry pointed out at the beginning of the episode, like it's great that we can do this and we can have all this, but when we're in the same room, it's a whole different energy. It's just a nice experience, and you're not going to get that virtually, especially with one of these giant events.
I will say though, I feel like this is the best virtual episode we've done so far. I feel pretty good about the energy that we've brought this week.
It's feeling more and more natural, but I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe I should. I'm going to see people again and be like, "Oh my god, I forgot how tall you were!" Like you were real.
I have to remind myself constantly, Swan, that you are taller than I am.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm the shortest of the three of us, which is weird because I'm not that short. I'm 5'11".
Yeah. I think I'm a little taller than Swan, if I remember. But
you are.
Yeah, okay.
If you remember, it's only been like a month and a half since we've all been in the same room together.
I'm not hitting door frames, so I'm good. That's all I care about,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it was smart. I think that was the right decision, though.
Yeah, I agree.
With the letdown, of course, but
yeah, of course. But so that's the news for the week. Is those two topics of conversation? But we do have some TTB filings. The first one is coming out of Whistle Pig. I'm pretty excited about this one. I got to tell you guys.
I love the name. Love the name.
It is a 10-year-old straight rye whiskey. It's a blend. It's 100 proof. It's called Piggy Bank Rye.
I have one hope for this bottle. I hope that the opening at the top where the cork goes is like old Granddad 114 style, where it's huge, so that when I get finished with this, I can drop quarters in. Like that's
cool.
Like that. I want to be able to use it as an actual piggy bank when I get done.
Just shoving dollar bills into a bottle.
Whoa, don't go crazy there. I got like pennies or quarters. I don't know about dollars, but
when was the last time you saw an actual dollar bill? Because it's been a while for me.
Well, I work in retail, so like 4 hours, but
the font, the typeface for the piggy bank rye too. That's beautiful.
I love it.
Look at those G's, man.
I can tell you, I know exactly what font that is.
What is it?
I used it for my senior project.
Oh yeah, which one? Not the senior project, but what is it? It's a good one though. I'm trying to think of what it is.
Kind of like that window painting style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has a vintage flair to it, but it also has like a very modern take on it.
It reminds me of the font that they use on the side of fire trucks with like the gold flake and the white overlay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a good one.
All of my fonts out of order?
All I've got to say about it.
So I do have one thing to point out about this. If you look at the piggy bank rye just to the left of where it says 100 proof, it was it 1 liter. So this is a bigger bottle.
Oh, interesting.
It's not a 750. And I can't find. Sometimes it says on these TTB filings, but it looks like they've not disclosed whether or not it's going to be sourced or if it's their product, which I have to imagine.
It says Canada rye on it.
It says Canada rye?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's where it's out of Vermont. I guess it's going to be sourced from Canada.
Yes.
It does. Yeah, it says product of Canada. So
cool.
Why can't I find this font?
But does the 1 liter anticipate me saying that it's only going to be 1 liters, or is that not the case? Is it just the label that they provided?
I mean, based on what has actually gone through the TTB, I'm assuming that that is the one size that they're going to be offering.
Okay, which probably goes back to a little bit of the piggy bank kind of feel to it.
I hope so, dude. If it actually came in like a piggy bank shaped bottle, I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about the font. It's a nice.
Doesn't matter. It's a real good font. They use it on Wild Turkey labels.
Oh, okay.
Too.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm excited for this. I imagine that. I mean, I know it's a limited edition, and Whistle Pig can be kind of pricey in terms of their LE releases, but I mean, this is probably going to be like $115. Maybe?
Yeah, probably. They did their piggyback, and it was a little more affordable. I think that was around like, what, 60, 65, something like that?
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be in the same vein, because that wasn't necessarily an LE as much as it just was like kind of like a starter Whistle Pig. You know, like they wanted to get people into the brand so that hopefully they thought maybe their 10, 15-year-old products, some of their 10-year picks that some of the stores were getting were maybe worth that extra cash.
Well, and they wanted people to use it. Go ahead, Swan, sorry.
Most of them are, in my opinion. That 15-year you held up, phenomenal.
Love that bottle. Yeah. I don't have much of it left, and I'm trying to figure out when the appropriate time to finish it off is.
When you find somebody with a beard as magnificent as the guy that gave it to you, you drink
Nate
it.
Woodruff?
Yes.
I miss that man. I miss his face. I miss his beautiful bearded face. What were we talking about? Anyway. So the other release is the newest from St. Cloud. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It says it's crafted by Ray Walker, but I mean, that doesn't really mean too much. The distillery itself is undisclosed, but it is 12 years old and cask strength at 131.3 proof. Holy moly.
That is going to be interesting.
Have you guys had the St. Cloud that's out right now?
I have not.
Yeah, I have.
What'd you think about it, Swan?
I was not a big fan, to be honest.
I don't think I've had it.
I got to try it, I think, from Chad. I think I got a sample from Chad. Or maybe I actually went to, I don't know. Either way, I've had it. It was just okay. It was not great. The bottle design is phenomenal. It is definitely appealing. I don't remember it being super high proof, I don't think. I think the first one was like 90-ish or something. But I just wasn't a big fan.
I saw it, and for me, the price point kind of made me shy away. If I remember right, it was pretty expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in like the $100 range if you could find it at retail. There are some cool things to point out on this label, though. If you look down here, they've got barrel name Zeus, bottle number of 152. So there's only going to be 152 of these. unless they do
Very
multiple
much,
barrel
man.
names. Yeah. And then on top of it, just to get back onto your guys' graphic design element here, the fleur-de-lis and stuff on there, great. But if you zoom in on the 12-year-old St. Cloud label, they've got this weird little thin, like pink line all the way around.
Oh, that's the
That's a cut line.
That's a cut line, so that won't show up.
Okay, they've got it on both. I don't know. I was really confused by that.
Yeah. So that's a cut line, so that when they go and cut those, that you won't see that.
Thanks. Okay, I feel better. No problem. I was like, this just looks weird. I don't like
Swan
this.
learned a thing.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
You can tell I dropped out sophomore year.
Yeah, and we'll make this real quick. But the extra space outside of that's the bleeds. And if you weren't going to have the bleeds, then you have a good possibility of when they do cut that, you'd have white edges, which you don't want. So, little graphic design knowledge for everybody.
Cool.
And that's been your graphic design corner this week on This Is My Bourbon podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
I also didn't realize this was out of Frankfurt.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I had no idea. I lived in Frankfurt for 20-something years and had no idea this was from there.
I wonder who it's. You would assume that it's Buffalo Trace, then, wouldn't you?
I mean, I guess, but I mean, I have no clue. There's been multiple little distilleries that have popped up so close to Frankfurt that they've just called it Frankfurt, which is weird. I don't know. I'm interested in trying this one because I feel like the extra proof is definitely going to carry it and make it a little bit more favorable than the previous one.
Yeah.
The cask strength, single barrel. Yeah, I agree. Only 152 bottles.
Well, let's talk about what the price might be then. I mean, if we're looking at, the old 12-year at 90 proof was about $100. I mean, this could easily edge towards 200.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this around 200, 250.
Yeah. I mean, if I went bare minimum, I would say probably 180.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think.
And that's being very conservative in a guess.
This bottle, like, if you look at the stuff they put on it, it's expensive. Like, it has a gear-style cap that's, like, solid metal. I mean, the bottle is super nice. They obviously spent money on getting it designed properly. And the last one was featured on, like, 3 different magazines. Namely, Whiskey Advocate put it front and center on their main, front page. I mean, like, it got a lot of press. And I didn't even think it was that good. I mean, it's going to go for a good amount of money.
Yeah. It ain't going to be cheap.
No.
Ain't going to be cheap. I'll say that much. All right. Well, that does it for all the news and the TTB filings for the week. How would you guys like to review this blind sample that you guys have been given?
I'm all for it.
Nose, palate, finish, price.
Yes, Curtis, those are the 4 categories that we use to review whiskeys. Yeah.
Well, you asked how I wanted to, so
sorry, I missed it. I get your joke now.
Where did that cylinder graduate from?
It's a shame we haven't made that joke more during this episode. But yes, we do have a review system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, and then we total it up for a final score out of 20. Guys, what do you think on the nose of this one?
I'm having a hard time pinning down what distillery this is from. I have like 4 or 5 guesses, and they're on way opposite ends of the spectrum, so I have no idea what's going on.
It's a good nose, though.
It is a good nose. I'll give it that.
It is real nice.
I'm getting this nice candied sugar.
I was kind of leaning towards like a s'mores note, honestly.
I get that.
But like the oak is really nice and deep as well.
And on the palate there, when you get to the palate, you get that nice dark oak. I really like this.
chocolate, coffee, graham crackers.
Yeah,
all up front. It starts to ease into an orange peel note as well.
Nice long finish.
Oh,
Gives that warm feeling.
it's a little hot.
See, I think it's pretty good. I think it's great proof wise where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Any guesses on proof?
I'm gonna go around. This is reminding me of like a 108-ish, 108, 110.
I was gonna say 108.
Yeah, I just had some of the Keeneland pick yesterday. Yeah, we got it. We're connected there.
The dad jokes and the proof point.
Yeah, we only need one of us on this podcast, but there's two. Sorry, Terry.
Wow, great. Glad to know that I am the
the only one that's gonna be a dad. And we're the ones giving the dad jokes.
I'm also apparently the expendable one, so that's fun.
Oh, that's not true at all. This podcast does not happen without you.
There's a reason there's never been a podcast with Swan and Kurt. It's just us two.
Yeah.
Okay, what would the podcast be named if it was just the two of you?
This is Perry's podcast, but we're doing it.
See, we couldn't even come up with a name.
Good. That's good. All right, cool. This is really a fine whiskey, though.
It is. It's kind of giving me, I don't know. I'm feeling like it's kind of like a Maker's Private Select.
Okay.
I'm getting some of those because it's got a lot of the same notes as that Keeneland pick for me, minus the cinnamon that they did. So, and the proof kind of seems like it's about the same, but I know I'm probably gonna be wildly wrong. I just had some of that the other day, and it was phenomenal. I do like this though; it's really good. I'm having a very hard time pinning down some of the notes.
It is complex. I mean, to be very honest, I mean, it is deep and rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the nose is where I'm getting more of a lighter note if we're thinking of bringing it around on the wheel a little bit.
Okay. Do you guys want to review this one?
Yeah.
All right. Is everybody okay to take their own notes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go. You want me to run down the whole thing?
You can. I mean, you don't know the. Actually, no. We'll go step by step because you guys don't even know the price yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So the nose, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think it's really strong. I do have problems picking out some of the notes. Like, it's definitely got a lot of good stuff going on. I just wish I had more to say about it than that. Like, it is so complex. I think I could sit down with this bottle and just every single time get something a little different. You know what? I'm going to move it up to a 4. It's good. It deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment too. I'm giving it a 3.5 though. It's in the same vein of that 4 that you were talking about, but for me, it's 3.5. It is a little bit just complex in that it is hard to pick out some of those notes. And there's nothing that's really just making me go, that's it. That's what I'm hoping is on the palate or kind of indicates of what's going to be on the palate. So I think the nose is a 3.5. It's really good though.
You know, in terms of like a nose, I just had a very visceral moment with this that reminded me of a bourbon that was the reason that I got excited for bourbon. Right? There was a note in there, and it's that campfire smell, right? Like there is a almost like a heritage smell to it that I think is part of the reason why I got so into and excited for bourbon. And aside from like the kind of nostalgia, I guess, that I feel for it, I also think that it is just overall very pleasing. I think it is well rounded. I think it's got an incredible amount of depth to it. I gave it a 4, same as Swan. I don't quite know what it's missing. Maybe it's kind of a floral essence too. But it is legitimately one of the best bourbons I've ever smelled.
I want more citrus out of it. I feel
I
like
could see that. Yeah.
It's like this is a bourbon I want to use in the Keeneland Breeze.
This is a bourbon I want all the time.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the citrus notes that came through on the palate, though. It's not too much further up, but I gave it a 4.25.
Okay. I gave mine a 4. I think it's definitely strong. The citrus note is what I'm missing. I'm a sucker for a really strong citrus note on a bourbon, and I feel like that's what it's missing. Again, same thing as the nose. Like you could honestly sit down with this 10, 15 times to get something different every time.
Yeah. For me, I gave it a 4. It has that campfire feel, and it kind of all those elements. We were talking about like a s'more, like a chocolate. You know, you get that nice graham cracker, like a crumble a little bit. I think it has just this inviting and kind of welcoming palate. I would say I do miss a little bit of a floral kind of nature note. Like maybe if I could get some citrus or some earth.
Sure.
I know, you know, some like rooted in the ground kind of note to it, but it's really good.
What do you guys think about the finish, though?
I think this is the weakest point of this bourbon, to be honest with you. It doesn't last too long for me. Like I have the aftertaste that just sits with me for a while, but that like lingering burn you kind of get a little bit, and like the kind of turn or like shift at the end of a bourbon, like when you have a really nice Booker's or something like that. It's just not there. You know, the burn does not last. And I've been drinking some lower proof stuff all night. I haven't had anything super high. So even if this is, you know, a higher proof bourbon, it's not sticking around. I give it a 2.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to actually disagree with you, Swan. I am still sitting with most of the flavors that I was getting from the palate into the finish. I will say there's no hug, or if there is, it's a little bit light. But at the same time, I'm starting to experience different flavors going into the finish that are more herbal in nature. There's like a much more pronounced orange note in there too, and like I'm still having a good time enjoying the flavors that I was picking up at the forefront of the palate with the, you know, that s'mores note that I was talking about, the campfire and oak and everything. So you look like you have to say something, Swan. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you just pointed it out. The herbal note, it reminds me, have you ever had a London Fog? It's like black tea mixed with like, yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm not a tea fan. I can't do it. I've tried it multiple times. It's got black tea in it. It's the finish. It's getting into that. And I that's why I'm probably going to rank this lower than you guys, because I don't like it.
Oh, okay. And like, that's totally fair. I mean, if you don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah, I just don't like tea. It is very reminiscent of it. That herbal note you pointed out, it's there.
Yeah, well, I give it a 4.5.
Oh, okay.
I love this finish. It's not the most amazing finish I've ever had, of course, but I think that it is. It makes me want to keep drinking this whiskey. It really does.
For me, yeah, I gave it a 4. It has a soothing quality. Like kind of like how you have a honey and tea, to soothe your throat, or if you have a sore throat,
Right.
or something like that. It coats it. It has this nice soothing quality to it with the herbal note that you're talking about. I thought it was really good. I thought it was on par with the palate, and so same score, 4 and a 4. Price.
Yes. Here's the thing.
Is it priceless?
No. We actually are reviewing the price on this one too. This was the best bourbon at the San Francisco World Spirits competition.
Oh, okay. Barrel
This is
bourbon.
the Barrel Bourbon Batch 21, 106.34 proof.
Hey, look at us, Kurt.
You guys were really close on the proof.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're really, really close on the proof. The distillery is undisclosed. It says distilleries in Tennessee, Indiana, and Kentucky. So probably Dickel, MGP, and I don't know, Heaven Hill, maybe in Kentucky. It's a blend of 10 to 14-year-old barrels, and the mash bill is undisclosed. It is, however, a $90 bottle of whiskey.
Huh. That's up there. I think if you enjoy the tea note like you guys did, this is a bourbon that's worth it to you to pick up.
Yeah.
I don't. So this is going to be one I would pass on. However, I have had other barrel products that I think would be 4s, maybe even 4.5s across the board. So for that, I think price-wise, I'm going to give it a 3. And that's going to be a personal thing, not necessarily a specific for everyone. So
Sure.
Yeah. I gave it a 4. I think it's a good price for what you're getting. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a little more than what you would want to be spending, I suppose. But for what you're getting, it's nice.
I have to agree with you, Kurt. I gave it a 4 as well. My final score was a 16.75 out of 20. So this for me is a recommend. I think that people should, if they can't get a bottle of it, I think that they should definitely try to get it at a bar. I mean, this is a unique bottle, I believe.
Yeah, and that herbal note you do not get on very many bourbons, or like really not many. I don't want to say it's like the only one, but it's very unique in that sense. So I gave mine a 15.5.
I'm at 13.5 on mine.
Wow. Those are, I feel like, and it's not that far off, but it feels significantly different.
Yeah,
in terms of our score.
We've built up that like 15 mark as like this is something to find, and I'm below it and you're above it, so it feels super split.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
It happens.
when we have a 15 mark, like our 15 is like yes, this is good. This is really nice. You should definitely get this or find it or get it at a bar. And I would not often do we have a one that we go below it, because a lot of times we have bourbons that are just inherently, for our reviews anyway, higher than that 15. So it is interesting. Yeah.
All right.
Over. Sorry. I just,
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. I was really excited for you guys to try this one because I was very fortunate to be sent samples from Aaron at the Barrel Craft Spirits group of folks, and I wanted you all to try this one. This was, so specific to the interests of bourbon consumers right now. I mean, yeah, it won best bourbon overall at San Francisco. So it only seemed appropriate that we took some time to talk about it. I really enjoyed being able to hear you guys talk about it in a blind setting as well. I think that's something that, and this is something that I've kind of enjoyed over the past few weeks too, is getting to see, how do you all respond without knowing what the bourbon in the glass is? and we might be doing this moving forward.
It is fun, yeah,
because
it comes in with no notion of anything.
Yeah,
and I feel like we've done pretty well as far as proof. I think we've hit the proof on quite a few of these. There's been, as far as determining which distillery it is, I think we've like shot a lot of shots and maybe hit one or two.
Sure. Okay, all right. I thought Swan was about to say something, but
I was like, it's blind, shooting blind. It's going everywhere. Like it's just okay. That was another dad joke. It was a failed one.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
How do you think we've done, Swan?
I think we've done pretty good. I'm very proud that we about got the proof nailed on that one, and I also was happy that like I couldn't nail down the distillery because it was multiple. So that's always reassuring.
Yeah.
But
that is true. He has given us a lot of like blends and multiple different ones. So
I think I'm going to have to supply some samples for 2 or 3 episodes.
Would you actually do that?
Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
Dude, that would be great.
Yeah.
I would love to have something different for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a Swan hosted episode, and then I'll go and drop them off to you guys.
You know, it'd be great. Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't next week, Swan, you do that.
Okay.
The week after, Kurt, maybe you do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of rotate back through as we have to. Because legitimately, I'm running out of stuff that you guys haven't had or that we haven't reviewed on the show at this point. So we'll figure something out. But I love that idea. I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. Now I got this. We're in quarantine, man. I'll show off my collection a little. We'll get some strange stuff in there.
I'm down, man. I'm down. You guys want to answer some questions from our Facebook group?
Yeah, we can do that for sure. All right.
Before we do that, though, my dad did text me back with an answer to the experimental collection bottle that he had that we tried. It was a 30-minute infrared light wave barrel. It is a 6-year, 5-month-old bottle of whiskey, 90 proof. Bourbon Mash 1 from Buffalo Trace entered the barrel at 125.
All right.
I remember liking it. So we'll have to revisit it at some point. Anyway, questions from Facebook.
You want to read them off, Perry? That first one's vital.
Well, this first one comes from that guy who asked a question last week, too, that I was really confused by. Sean Thomas Moore. He said, can you pour some Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond to start the episode? And then Swan replied and said, sure, Sean, just for you. I'm so confused by this. I mean, I had some of the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond at the beginning, so I hope that Sean is satisfied by that. Next question comes from...
Wait. Who's Sean?
Honestly, at this point, I don't know.
It's Cian.
Oh.
Yeah. How do you know? Do you talk to him often? Or?
Yeah. No, all the time.
Oh. It's like
especially in quarantine.
That's weird. Okay.
Next question comes from Mike Steven. He said, quarantine finds. I know we aren't supposed to be technically hunting, but I feel like it's been so much easier to find some gems lately.
Yeah, I found some stuff.
Feel that way.
Yeah, I found a few things. I found some Weller Special Reserve the other day, which, depending on where you're at, that's a great find.
Wait, did you really?
Yeah, found 750 of Special Reserve the other day. And then I also found some, I don't know if they did another release or it's just been there for a while, but one of the liquor barns here in town had some more of that Boone County Weeded on the shelf for a good price, under 100. That's
really?
Yeah.
Because that's been racking up the the price, honestly.
Yeah, because I've seen it most places like 120 to 150. So that's really good. And they've just got it sitting on the regular shelf. It's like not even behind the little glass case or anything. And then also the Booker's 2020-01 is finally hitting. It's not necessarily a huge find, but I'm just glad to start seeing it on the shelves.
I saw that at some point, and I got excited that I was able to see it, but I didn't actually pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a potential pickup here soon.
Yeah.
The next question comes from my sister, Sarah. She said, what's your go-to celebration pick, say for someone who is graduating college in a couple weeks?
Michter's 10. I think it's a great celebration.
Yeah.
It's an easy sipper. It's got a good amount of age to it. And it was so fun when we did our live podcast, breaking that bottle out and watching every single person, regardless of affiliation to distillery, get excited about that bottle.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That was the best.
I don't know if I've ever had the Michter's 10. Have I?
I don't know if you have either, but I actually have a little bit of a bottle left that Swan got for me. So I'll save that for when we all get back together.
Yeah, no, I'd love to try it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Great bourbon to have for a celebration like graduation.
Yeah, no kidding. Patrick actually said that he picked one up today.
Oh, very cool.
Look at you, Patrick. I don't know. I feel like I might have to finish off this Weller Foolproof with Sarah.
That'd be another good one. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Wild Turkey Revival would be another great one.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, which if she's graduating, sure, take a sample of that, Perry, if you want. It's good stuff.
Do you still have some of the Wild Turkey we got?
The Decades?
Yeah, the Decades.
I do.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one to try as well.
I don't have a whole lot left, but
yeah, I still have some.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's a good.
Man, I love this bottle.
It's so good.
I have to be really careful with it.
Yeah, I know.
If it's out, I really want to drink it.
Yeah, and it's always that other that one almost pushes like past even special occasion, but like a really special occasion for me.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Next question. Also, Patrick said that he actually picked up Granny's batch instead of the Michter's 10. So fair enough. Either way,
Still excited.
Tony Mercury, we never actually got clarification on how to pronounce your name. We're going to say it both ways from here on out, I guess.
Or please let us know.
He said, can I get a birthday shout out for my wife, Meredith? Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Meredith.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Birthday, Meredith.
That was my shout out.
Big shout out.
It's a good one. It's a good one. The waveform is huge. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It was okay on my end.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was just me.
All right. Well, either way, happy birthday, Meredith.
Yes, happy birthday, Meredith. Next question comes from Eric Smith, who asks, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Gambit walk into a liquor store. What are each of them buying? Wolverine, Jack Daniels. Cyclops, Blanton's. Gambit, Sazerac Rye.
Damn, I thought about that one.
So those last two, I'm going to completely agree with you. I had Cyclops pegged for a Blanton's guy. Gambit, I'm going to go. He's getting Rittenhouse. He'll be fine with it. And then Wolverine, he's getting Wildcatter. Because it doesn't have that giant like big scratch mark on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's all him. Yep, he can have it.
Wolverine, he's getting a Booker's.
Ooh.
It's that high-proof, rough around the edges.
I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. Patrick Starkey asks, can you recommend places to get some good food and drinks in Lexington? OBC Kitchen. For sure. I'm blanking because I haven't been out anywhere in so long.
Buddha Lounge.
Buddha Lounge. We still have never gone there together.
We haven't, but we need to. Buddha Lounge is a sushi place, but the owner, he has one of the biggest bourbon collections that I've seen. He has a lot of really good stuff back behind the bar, but he has showed us like pretty much his collection, and it is almost his entire basement.
Yikes.
It's crazy.
That is fantastic.
So Boodle Lounge and ask for Nick and definitely talk to him. Just bring up Bourbon, say my name Curtis. So he would talk for the entire time to you.
I also really love Palmer's. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Palmer's. It's out in Lexington Green. It's a seafood place for the most part, but it's man.
Yeah, no, and what else? You got Goodfellas over in the Distillery District. That's always
Yeah.
always good one.
Oh, I miss Goodfellas.
Yeah. Hey, Meredith's in here now.
Oh, hello,
Happy
Meredith. So Tony said that we're getting close to the pronunciation, but he's going to keep us guessing.
Is it Mercury?
But that's the thing is that he said that we're close, but we're not there. So I'm wondering if it's a soft C. So Mercury. I don't know. We'll find out eventually.
I'm gonna put it in Google Translate and then just translate it from English to English and just have it read it out loud, and that's what I'm going with, buddy.
Our next question comes from Don Nishida. He said, "How did the three of you meet? Have you been friends since kindergarten?" No.
Nope.
we all three met independently of each other. Like Swan and I met because we had a 2D art class together.
Yeah, 2D and 3D.
2D and 3D in college. Yeah. I met Curtis because he was in the same class of graphic designers as Lucy. And then Kurt, I don't know how you and Swan actually met.
So I met Swan because we were first you were like, "Oh, dude, I know this bourbon finder. He calls himself the Bourbon Finder. His name's Swan." And you were like, "He has a bottle of, I think it was Weller 12 or something." And
that is right.
Yeah, it was Weller 12, and I was like, "Hey, Swan, random dude I don't know. Barry said you had a 12-year. Can I get that?" And then we all came together and like, I think we recorded the first podcast, right? At my house?
Yeah, we did a podcast where we reviewed the last three expressions of
Rare Breed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, it was the first time I've ever met you, and I'm sitting on your couch for like 3 hours while we record.
Yeah.
And that was still at the time that Tanner was one of the main co-hosts as well.
Yeah, I was just filling in for the week because I had I had the older expression of Rare Breed.
Yeah. So that's how Swan and I met, which is actually perfect because it was related around bourbon and all of that.
Kurt, which drawing class did we have together? Was it drawing one?
No, we had.
Or did we not have drawing together?
We didn't. It was painting one.
We had drawing together, Perry. We had 3 classes together.
I knew you and I did, Swan, but I thought for some reason that Curtis and I had more than just that painting one class together.
I think we only had painting. We had a history, maybe an art history class, maybe.
I can't remember.
Yeah, either way.
At this point, it's all just kind of bled together.
Yeah. I thought Swan was like, I thought he was older. Like, I was expecting for some reason I was expecting like a 30-year-old kind of person. And I was like, oh man, I'm in deep because this dude knows a lot about bourbon. He's like getting all these bourbons that I've never even tried. Some I don't even hear about. And I was like, he's going to blow me out of the water here.
I do remember so Swan left Eastern Kentucky University. And it was your sophomore or junior year?
That was my sophomore year.
So after that, we hadn't seen or talked to each other really for about a year. And, I was starting to get into bourbon and be like real serious about it and everything. And Swan and I were texting back and forth. Hello, Marie. We were texting back and forth and he goes, "Oh, I know where to get a bottle of Elmer T. Lee." And that was the first and only bottle of Elmer T. Lee that I've ever owned. But we met up in the parking lot at EKU over by the art building. And we sat there and I gave you
It was the Lot B sample.
I gave you, the Lot B sample. I remember that. That was that.
Yeah.
So the Lot B sample, or the Lot B itself, was my first big bourbon purchase. That was the first time I'd ever spent that much on bourbon.
Which even then, you got it in a drawing and paid like $70 for a thing of Lot B, which was
I think it was like 80, 85.
Still, I mean, like
that's a great price.
Yeah.
I'll never see that price again, I'm sure.
No.
But that being said, I mean, like that was the first time that we had seen each other in like over a year, I feel like. And then everything just kind of escalated. Like he then started getting, you were like handing stuff off to me as well. Like that Elijah Craig barrel proof that we talk about all the time. That was what, 139?
It was up there. Yeah. It was like 139, 136, something.
Yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, like everything kind of like the seeds were sown like very small, in very small portions throughout the way for us to kind of like all come together to make the show happen. And like Kurt, you and I would talk about bourbon on the off chance that we had the opportunity to, and
just like randomly in the classroom or whatever.
Yeah, and I was like, well, Tanner's here too.
Yeah.
I'll cut that out. Edit point. Anyway, that's funny though.
It is weird though. I went to school. Was probably in close proximity to Kurt. Never talked to him.
I had never seen him.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like when I was in college, like I would go to class and then I would just disappear. Just gone.
Yeah, I had never seen him.
I had friends in class, but I didn't really like hanging out too much outside of class.
No, I think we hung out one time, and it was because Melissa Vandenberg, one of our teachers, was like, she forced us as one of our assignments to go out to eat with other students.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we went to, what was it, the Euro place downtown?
Babylon, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Babylon.
I think we had to do that too.
Yeah, isn't it just
we had
somebody had to.
We didn't have to go somewhere. We had to literally make something. I forget who was in it. I honestly think it was me. Don, you got way more than you bargained for on this.
Yeah, right. He's getting the entire like origin story of the podcast.
Yeah. It was me. It was Trace.
Do we lose Curtis?
That or he's really thinking. It's one of the two. I'm not.
Nope. There he is.
Let's just let his internet figure it out,
There you hear me?
He's back. Yeah, you're good now.
All right, cool.
No.
Somebody's downloading the entire Dragon Ball Z catalog in his apartment building right now. It's okay. Hey, Patreon, these are the steps that we sometimes have to go through to make sure that we provide good content for you. He's back.
For now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Keep going in and out.
Okay. Whatever I was going to say, it was just people that in my class that I had to go. So anyway.
I like how that fizzled out.
Yeah. I think this next question we have is probably one of my favorites to come up on this.
I don't even know how to wrap my head around this one. This is from Eric Black. Are you willing to dip an Oreo into your bourbon and eat it? If not, why not?
I'll do it.
I'll do it. Yeah. Even better, I'll dip some tagalongs in my bourbon. Why not?
Yeah. You know what would probably be good? A Thin Mint.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can see that.
I'd be on board with that.
Yeah.
You could definitely see that. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I'll be one of those people that just like takes Oreos and like breaks them in half, throws them in a giant bowl, and then instead of milk, I'll just pour a thing of bourbon in there. It's theoretical. Sure. Yeah. I'm all over it.
I mean, I'll try. I feel like we need to individually try it this week. Come back together.
It's the new This Is My Bourbon Podcast challenge. You know, when everybody's got those. Just dip an Oreo in your glass of bourbon.
See what happens.
I think that's what. Okay, for everybody, not just us. Everybody on the chat, everybody on that listens, they should. The challenge for this week is to dip your Oreo in bourbon, and then come back and let us know what your thoughts are.
God, that is the most quarantine thing I've ever heard. Instead of challenge coins, we're just dipping Oreos, which are roughly challenge coin like, into bourbon and eating them.
Yeah,
I'm excited about this
because I did have Oreos, and I really could have done it, but I already ate them all. So
I just broke the screw cap on my Heaven Hill bottled and bond.
Oh,
you probably have another one somewhere. So.
I don't know what to do. I'm just kidding. I'll figure something out. Anyway, doesn't matter.
all right. Eric Black has another question here. What is the furthest you have traveled from home?
I don't know if Vegas is further than the Bahamas from Lexington.
No clue.
We're going Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's looking at Boulder, Colorado. It's the furthest I've been.
I love Colorado, man.
Yeah, I just remember getting to the top of Pikes Peak and then like doing this where your head's just like sideways because it's so heavy. And I was like 8, so.
It's not really working for me here.
What? Your internet's not working, Curtis?
Yeah. Literally, it says, can't find a way there. So,
Well, did you tell it you were taking a car to the Bahamas? There's a bit of a gap in the middle. Oh. His internet can't find a way to...
I just put a cork in my Heaven Hill bottle and bond.
Hey, whatever works, man. Weller did it. Worked out fine for them.
Trying to see if there's a better cork. Kurt, you're back.
the furthest I've ever traveled is Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. All right, so the next question is from Greg Reynolds. Have you opened any bottles that you are saving during this quarantine?
Yeah, I just opened one for this episode.
Yeah.
Thanks to Sean Thomas Moore.
Yeah, what a jerk. I haven't really opened anything specifically, but I've dipped into some bottles that I thought I was kind of saving for more of a special occasion, namely the Little Book Batch 1, and I got into some 1792 225th the other day.
Nice.
So
I did finish off, and I probably should have included this in what we've been drinking. But my Kentucky Owl Batch 1 Rye.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That you got for me, Swan.
That one's a good one, man.
I love this rye so much. I'm really sad that it's gone now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dixon would tell you need to drink it. It's not for saving, so
Absolutely.
you got it from the source right there, man. Finish it and enjoy it.
Kurt, what about you?
I've been knocking out the JW Dant.
Dude. That and Samuel's, man.
That and Samuel's, indeed.
I'm all over it.
Yeah, I've been knocking that out, trying to knock that out because it's only the 175. But
I have had so much Wild Turkey 101.
That sounded like a confession. You're like, I have been so drunk during this entire quarantine. I thought you were going down that path.
Look,
No judgment, but
it is not honesty hour, but take it how you will. Patrick actually in our chat clarified for me what the furthest I have been is. It's 990 miles to the Bahamas from Lexington and 1932 to Vegas. So the furthest I've ever been from home is Las Vegas, Nevada. So
There you go.
the more you know.
Absolutely.
All right, shall we wrap this up, guys?
Sure.
Yeah, we got one more section. The one I like. The super
He's like,
excited.
I've been waiting
Oh yeah, I forgot about tips and bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys have to recommend this week?
I talked about everyone watching The Tiger King. I found another documentary. This one's not a show style. It's just like a movie style one where it's like 2 hours and it's just done. It's on Amazon. It's called The Wild Whites of West Virginia. It's an older one, but they just released it again on Amazon, and it is wild. It is so wild.
It's more than wild.
Yeah.
When you watch that, you go, these people aren't real.
Yeah, there's no way they're real.
Even more so than like Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
This is my West Virginia mating call.
Yeah. And the guy that you think is the
What am I
most
missing out
normal
on
in the
here?
show is in jail, and then when you find out what he did, you're like, no, that's not okay. You can't do that. That's not good.
Yes, yeah, that's a great recommendation. People should definitely go watch that. Mine it's a new Netflix show called Middleditch and Schwartz.
Dude, it's so good.
It's so funny.
You took mine.
Oh, did I?
No, it's okay. I'll figure something else out. I've got plenty of stuff.
These scrambles. I've got plenty of stuff. Let me look at my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on.
Yeah. So it is an improv show with. Do you know this? Their specific names? I only know them from one from Parks and Rec and one from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Thomas Middleditch was on Silicon Valley, and Ben Schwartz was Jean Ralphio on Parks and Rec.
I knew it was their names. I just didn't know their like first name, like their full names. But it's all an improv show. They come out and there's 3 episodes, and they ask the audience like, what is exciting or what are you fearful for, like in the coming future, some sort of event. And then they ask questions, have a little bit of a conversation with the audience member, and then they go through and have a fully improved, pretty much 45 to 50 minutes of them just improving an entire show, and it's hilarious.
It is so good.
Mm-hmm. So definitely get on Netflix and watch that.
So I'll recommend a movie too. I just watched this week what might be one of my favorite movies to come out in the past decade, The Lighthouse.
Haven't seen it.
It's a black and white film shot on like old style film in a camera with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. And it's about 2 guys who have they work at a lighthouse on an island. It's just the 2 of them. It's about basically their descent into madness. And it is beautiful. It is a wonderfully shot film. The acting is impeccable. There are storylines in it within storylines that, like, if you like solid answers at the end of movies, this one might leave you a little bit disappointed. But it is so well produced and well acted that I just like. I almost considered watching it over again after I finished it.
That's always good.
Yeah. I can't recommend that movie enough. I liked it more than Parasite.
Wow.
And I loved Parasite. So.
I'll have to watch it.
You should. You absolutely should. All right. I think that does it for this week's episode of This My Bourbon Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for yet another week. Guys, thank you for being here as always. Where can people find you on social media if they would like to do that?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook at My Bourbon Finder.
And you can find me on Instagram at KurtCon and Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
And I am at PRitter1492 on all social media channels. The show itself is at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also leave us a 5-star rating and review on the iTunes podcast app. We will be happy to read those out on the show. If you do leave one of those reviews, you can find all of our apparel and merchandise at bourbonshop.threadless.com. I think we still have a sale going on there at the moment, so you can go and check all that out. You can leave us a voicemail for our Barrel Ring segment at 859-428-8253. We'll be happy to listen to whatever it is you have to say to us and respond accordingly. You become a part of our Facebook group on facebook.com. You just search for This Is My Bourbon Group, and we will get you in there to have some really great conversations. That's where you can ask questions about, or for the show, rather, that we answer on air like we have been doing on this episode. And then last but not least, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast is where you can become a supporter of the show for as little as $1 a month. For as little as $5 a month, you get bonus content, like the bonus episodes that come out every month, the pregame chats that come out every week, the day before the main episode, some live streams, some hangouts, stuff like that. So you can go over there. Again, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast is where you can keep the lights on in the studio. Curtis just did a shot out of a little sample bottle.
Nah, it wasn't a shot. It was just the last bit of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like, I was like, what's going on over there, Kurt? You turning up on a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. We will be back next week with another hot, great new episode. We'll find out what happens together. But until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
And I'm Swan.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.